Welcome to the Mid-Missouri Kayak and Weather Report for January 2022. At 12:15 in the afternoon on Monday, the 24th of January, the temperature is 52 degrees. 52 predicted for tomorrow. Today's high 52, and down into the 20s, back to the 30s, and by the end of the week, high 40s again. We've had maybe 40 degrees a week or two ago. We had single-digit days. We've had single-digit nights, but we did have a single-digit day or two. We had, about a week ago, we had roughly 2 inches of snow, very heavy snow, 2 inches of snow, and that was, to shovel that out of the driveway, and the snow that I threw on the lawn finally just melted today. But yeah, that's weather around here. But when it gets into the teens and single digits, the rivers freeze, at least the narrow, small ones do. So that's why I'm on the Osage River today. I wanted to launch, I figured I might get away with it since it's so warm, on the Moreau River. So I went to my Moreau 50 access, and the river is, well, it's low because it's winter. I've never checked it in January or February because there's ice, you know. But the water was 4 to 6 inches below the bottom of the concrete at the end of the ramp. And then there was 6 to 8 feet of ice out into the river, and then downstream there was more thin ice. So I came here, which is, that was 15-minute drive in one direction. This is 15-minute drive in the other direction. So basically I cut across the triangle and I came 15-minute drive to here. So that was a half-hour adventure to find out I couldn't kayak there. Yeah. This stretch of the Osage, I haven't been here more than a year, maybe 2 years. I would come here, my first 2 years, I came here like 6 times a year. I would sometimes see eagles, definitely during the winter. I would see eagles soaring. But being so wide, I really don't get to see much. One time, turkeys flew across the, a flock of turkeys flew across the river, and it's 150, 200 feet across, so that was pretty cool. But I don't usually see anything. But today, winter, I saw 6 bald eagles. And I know they were bald eagles, they were distant, but one came close enough that I could see the markings. It flew across the river several, maybe 100 yards, 200 yards away from me, and then it went along the shore across from me further downstream until I saw it. I looked up, and there at the bluff it was approaching were 5 more eagles, and they were all just circling up there. And I thought they were circling over the bluff, but as I got closer, that was around a curve in the river, and as I got closer I could see that they were actually past it, and they were over a flats area that looks like an island on the map, but there has to be high water on the Osage for that to be an island. In fact, there's an island road going to it. But yeah, and as I got within, I don't know, 300 yards of there, they just kind of spread out. Now I can see one flying actually upstream from me. I'm headed back. I went 2.5 miles downstream, and I am now at probably a little more than 1.25 miles to go on my half mile of my halfway back. I'm halfway back. And there is, I don't know if I can catch it. There are markers actually on the river that show you how far you are from the Missouri River. So let's see. You know what? I can't see the screen and turn it at the same time to show you that. So I will, and when I leave here, I will turn the camera around and show you. I'm at the 19-mile point from the Missouri River. There is no ice here, but there is ice along the banks. The gentle slope going up, you can see there's ice that's 8 to 10 feet, and with that gentle slope, it's probably at that point maybe about 4 feet above this current level. So that's where the water has been in the past month. So yeah, water's been higher here. It's low. I hadn't planned to come this far downstream, but I'm glad I did because I didn't see those eagles until close to the 2-mile mark. So yeah, that was cool. That's cool. And I did see one hawk. Other than that, that's all I've seen. Yeah, that's all I've seen. Okay, so what's going on? News. Football game yesterday. Bills and the Chiefs. Man, what a bummer. I mean, I wanted the Bills to win. And I thought for sure they were. I thought last second. Look at that, last second. But no. No. Both teams played well. They did. I mean, I still have the Chiefs to follow. And they play the Bengals next week, but damn it, I wanted the Bills to win. What are you going to do? Okay. Oh, poetry. I've probably mentioned in the last video or two that I had some poems that were accepted into anthologies, and they came out. I got one back at the beginning of December, I think, and I got one at the beginning of January. So 2 anthologies that have my poetry in them, and that is pretty cool. And the one, I actually got a contributor's copy at no cost, so that was neat. First time that's happened for me. So it's like getting paid, because I was going to buy the book anyway, you know? Yeah. And I'm doing something called origami poetry. I had 6 poems I submitted to Origami Poems Project, which is at origamipoems.org. They have free PDF downloads of micro chapbooks. What they do is, if you're accepted, they take your 6 poems, they put them on the paper, and they flip them, some of them, so that when you fold it in half and then fold it again and again, it makes a book. So there's a front page, a back page, and I actually gave them a photo of mine, hoping that they'll consider it, because they do consider submissions for covers. So anyway, front, back, and my 6 poems. Yeah, and when you go to fold it up, it doesn't open the pages in order, so you have to do this little slice down the center, which makes a star. And then when you go and fold it, it unfolds so the pages are in order. It's pretty wild. Yeah. So these are a couple that a guy I know, a friend of mine, actually has a couple of origami poems, but I thought I would see if we look at them, see what they look like. It's pretty cool. And they're about the land. Margaret's Cazadero Arts and Nature Conservancy, when I visited that 10 years ago. You know, it inspired me. I've written poems over the years, and some of them are in that. So how's that? That's awesome. I joined the Missouri Writers Guild. They're the Columbia chapter of the Missouri Writers Guild. So it's called the Columbia Writers Guild. I had put off years ago joining it because it was like, it's Columbia. It's 30 to 35 miles, sort of a 70-mile round trip to go, you know, and meetings or readings. And with COVID, they're meeting virtually. And I had actually connected with a member of the guild near the beginning of COVID, Barbara Leonhard, and I met her on WordPress, and I was following her. As it turns out, she was a member, and then she started these Zoom sessions where she said, "Hey, you know, let's do some reading." So we had a half dozen people or so that we would meet once a month. We did that for a few months, and we would read each other's poetry and comment on it. And then this past fall, she started one up again with guild members, or non-guild members, I guess. And I started doing those again. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to join the Columbia Writers Guild. So I did. And actually, I did that a couple of months ago. And just last week, I was a featured reader for their quarterly reading. They do that 4 times a year. And there were 5 poets and 1 novelist who read. He read part of his work, just as the poets read some of their work. And there were about 19 people total in attendance, so that was pretty cool. It was. And then I've been doing open mics at Gumbo Bottoms. That's a bar here in town. It's a small place, and there's a few poets that meet there and do an open mic. And so I've gotten to meet local poets, and I've read there 3 or 4 times. Water lilies. Short. I read a lot of poetry about water. Water lilies.
I hadn't noticed.
I moved beside the shore, water creased by the bow before me, caressed by the paddle beside me. Startled, a heron takes flight from a fallen tree at water's edge. Its wings, a faint whisper in the silence. Paddle still, I drift past a willow into a floating carpet of green. Pink and white lilies nod as they part. I pause in the stillness, Monet's vision spread before me. At peace. Amid peace.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Get to meet some nice people. So yeah, that's it. That's what's going on. That's what's happening here in mid-Missouri. I don't think I have anything else to add. So, this has been your mid-Missouri kayak and weather report for January 2022. Ciao, folks, and vlog on.